Gordy. How are you?
I'm good, Jean. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Could be a bit better, but you know what? We try to do what we try to do. Listen, Gordy, in previous videos and blogs, we've talked a lot about bacteria, biofilms, and plaque biofilms. So today, what I'd like us to do is try to explain to our viewers what exactly are biofilms and how they are formed. Okay with that?
Yeah, sure. Sounds
All
great.
right. So Gordy, once again, could you explain to you're the scientist here, so can you explain to our viewers what exactly are biofilms?
Yep. So a biofilm basically is a mass of bacteria and fungi that are actually anchored to a hard surface using a glue-like substance. So that glue-like substance gets them to stick to that surface, and it also protects them from the environment that they're in. That glue-like substance is a substance that's secreted by these bacteria. It allows them to attach to that tooth-like structure or hard surface, whatever surface it is. And those organisms grow laterally and vertically, forming large masses of bacteria. If any other organisms become in contact with that glue-like substance, they become entrained into that system, and they start to grow as well, forming complex biofilms that can be hundreds of different bacteria, and it could be hundreds of layers thick.
Can you actually see it with your eyes? Can you see these biofilms?
Well, I mean, bacteria are a micron in diameter, so even 100 layers thick, you're looking at something that's about as thin as a hair. It's very difficult to see, but if you eat candy and you're running your tongue along the front of your teeth after a couple hours of eating candy, you can feel your teeth are rough. They feel different. That's bacterial biofilms. Those are bacterial glue structures and hundreds of layers thick of bacteria.
So if I understand well, Gordy, that this glue-like substance or resin-like substance protects the germs that are underneath from, let's say, the host immune system or oral disinfectant or...
Yeah, it's a way to mechanically and chemically prevent access for things to get inside of those films. And so you can end up conferring resistance. Antibiotic resistance can be 1,000 times higher concentration is required to kill bacteria in a biofilm versus bacteria that are not in a biofilm. So yeah, I mean, this impacts the ability, things cannot penetrate or diffuse into those films quickly or very far. And so you're only killing a couple of layers of bacteria, and everything else is safe and protected from disinfectants, antimicrobials, antibiotics, and our host immune system. So all of those things are not capable of being access to that. And that causes a lot of problems when you start thinking about medical treatments. If you have bacteria existing in biofilms, these medical treatments for whatever disease state we're talking about, it's difficult to treat these films.
Yeah, I heard that actually a lot of specialists believe that these biofilms are responsible for the vast majority of antimicrobial resistance worldwide, and we know that it's a big medical issue indeed.
Yeah, and you know, bacterial biofilms are everywhere, everywhere. I mean, they're on your teeth as dental plaque, so that's an example. They're actually an acute or a chronic infection. Some infection on your skin can end up having a biofilm in it, and that's not good for healing. You can have biofilms associated with dandruff or seborrheic dermatitis. That's a biofilm-based infection on your scalp. There's biofilms in hospitals. There's biofilms in your bathroom sink, in your toilet. There's biofilms on food processing equipment, water lines, oil lines, sewer lines. Basically, any place where you have water and food and there's movement, shear, you can end up with biofilms. Because if you don't have a biofilm, the bacteria just will never colonize a surface. They'll just be washed downstream.
All right, getting back to pets then. Now that we know what biofilms are, thanks a lot for the explanation. Can you explain to us how these biofilms actually form on the teeth?
Yeah,
And I will take care of the slideshow if you don't mind, and just tell
sure,
me when you want to change the slides. All right?
sure,
Here we
sure.
go.
All right, so this is a picture, a side view of 3 teeth. The blue line there is the gum line. So above that's above the gum line, below that's below the gum line. Those 2 colored star shapes, those are bacteria and fungi. And again, these bacteria, when they land on the surface, they secrete a glue. If they don't secrete that glue, the next time you drank water or you swallowed, they would be washed right down your esophagus into your stomach. So these organisms need this glue in order to colonize that surface and in order to stay associated with that surface. So that's the first thing that happens. The next slide. So once they've started to grow, they need food. So the green dots symbolize food sources. So the food gets in there. The organisms use that as food, and one of the other things that these bacteria and these yeast need are metal ions. They're cofactors for a lot of biological activities. I don't have to get into the detail, but things like iron, magnesium, and calcium, they're essential. They're essential to make sure that bacteria are capable of growing, maintaining the membrane stability of the bacteria and the fungi, as well as maintaining biofilm stability. So these counter ions and this food are critical to maintain functional biofilms and living things within those biofilms, and they're essential. They're essential to enable growth of those films as well. So next slide. So the green here, the green structure is actually plaque, dental plaque. And that is the glue, the bacteria, and the fungi all entrained into this thick film. You could think of like a skyscraper of bacteria or fungi. And the mechanical portion of the skyscraper is the glue that's holding them all together inside of that skyscraper. So that's plaque, dental plaque. Next slide. So now what you see is you see some new colored stars. Now you see some purple stars in there. And as I said earlier, any organism that comes in contact with this glue is going to be entrained within that glue, just like a insect gets stuck into a spider web, and it's going to start to grow within that matrix. And again, that makes a complex biofilm, hundreds of layers thick, with upwards of hundreds of species of bacteria and fungi in there to make that complex film.
All right, and eventually the plaque, in combination with various oral salts such as calcium and phosphate, calcifies and becomes really hard. That's what we call calculus or tartar. That's the yellowish portion just around the gum line that we see now. And if it with time keeps on growing, and what it basically does is that it invades the subgingival space. It goes underneath the gum line. And actually, this can cause a lot of problems, periodontal disease, what we call periodontitis. It can also cause bone destruction, and even can cause what we call systemic diseases, Gordon. It's when these bacteria that you showed us will actually migrate through the bloodstream and settle in different organs, such as the heart, the liver, and the kidneys. So that's quite important, actually.
It's a big problem. It's a really big problem. And so, I mean, it's important for people to understand that, not treating plaque results in tartar, which ultimately can cause oral and systemic diseases that will ultimately impact your pet's health.
Yeah, so and welfare. I mean, they suffer when they were like at the last slide that I showed, where you get so much tartar and bone destruction. It is definitely painful. And you see, Gordy, the technologies that are developed by Kane Biotech for the silk stem and blue stem, they have a positive impact on human health, on animal health, and also on the environment health. And that's what we call in veterinary medicine One Health. And that's really, really important. I hope you enjoyed this short video, and we hope that you understand more what biofilms are all about. Gordy, thanks a lot for sharing your precious knowledge. Thanks a lot for being with us today. That's absolutely fantastic.